Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order the June 15th, 2020 Old Bridge Township Council meeting. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for our prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
As customary in this chamber, we stand for a moment of silence to remember those who are protecting our freedoms, both here and abroad, for our first responders, for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And this evening, Mr. De Palma?
Yes. So as we take our moment of silence, I'd ask that each of us reflect upon all those who have faced injustice in our country and throughout our communities, and for all those that have passed.
And this evening also, Mr. Pasquitti?
Yes, my pastor, Pastor Lloyd Pulley from Calvary Chapel, Old Bridge, him and his wife lost their son, Jeremy, to a tragic car accident a few months ago. And I would just ask for prayers and a moment of silence for their family. Thank you.
Thank you. A moment of silence, please. Mr. Pasquitti, our prayer.
Yes, dear Lord, thank you for your protection and bless your servants in the Ministry of Public Affairs who serve you in Old Bridge. We pray for our first line responders, police, fire, EMS, nurses, doctors, support staff, and government officials here in Old Bridge, as well as our mayor, our governor, our president, and all their cabinet staff. We ask for your wisdom so we can properly govern the affairs of Old Bridge. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all. Please be seated.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, July 20th, 2020, 7:30 p.m. Mrs. Brown?
Present.
Mr. De Palma?
Here.
Dr. Greenberg?
Here.
Mr. Merwin?
Present.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Pasquitti?
Here.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Here.
President Sohar?
Here.
9 present.
Okay, good evening, everyone. First will be approval of minutes. Combined meeting, January 13th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin, I could barely hear you.
I said yes.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Combined meeting, March 2nd, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pasquitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Combined meeting minutes, December 16th, 2019. Do I?
Move it.
Second.
Move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Fisketti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
9 yes.
Executive session minutes, December 16th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Abstain.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Fisketti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstention.
Combined meeting, March 16th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Yes, move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Fisketti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
9 yes. Thank you.
Okay, next will be bill listing, Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, June 15, 2020, $31,509,646.92.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Fisketti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Sohar.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, May 8, 2020, $826,212.95.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Piscitty.
Okay. Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Fisketti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, May 8, 2020, $12,688.75.
Do I have a motion? Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mrs. Walker. Can we have a breakout, Mr. Shaw, please?
Yes, Council President, thank you. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the total overtime in this pay period was $12,688.75. There are no real uptick in any other department. For police department, the total overtime per sworn officer was $8,832.23. Deduct ETO, $518.54. Deduct for pandemic cost is $3,036.07. The net overtime was $5,277.62, representing 105.5 men and women hours. During this time, 2 officers were quarantined.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaw.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, May 22nd, 2020, $893,500.20.
Do I
Move
have
it.
a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. Pescetti.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, May 22nd, 2020, $19,068.50.
Do I have a motion?
Move it. Second.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Murphy.
Council
Mrs.
President,
Brown,
Yes, Mr. Shaw, can we have a breakout, please?
I'm sorry.
sorry.
That's okay.
Thank
As Councilwoman Walker indicated, total overtime for this pay period was $19,068.50. There was no uptick in any other departments. For the total overtime per sworn officer was $13,376.89. Deduct the ETO payments of $4,546.90. Deduct pandemic cost of $5,024.71. Net overtime for this pay period was $3,805.28, representing total hours of 217. And again, 2 officers were still quarantined at this pay period.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
and Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, June 5th, 2020, $834,015.46.
Do I have a motion?
Move it. Second.
Moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. Pescetti.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soha.
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, June 5th, 2020, $22,140.65.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Mrs. Brown,
Mr. Shaw?
no breakdown?
Yeah, no, Mr.
Mr. Shaw?
Do we have a breakdown, please?
Council President, thank you. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, total overtime for this pay period was $22,140.65. There was no uptick in any other department. For the sworn officers, total overtime was $15,423.07. Deduct grants of $421.74. Deduct ETO, $1,469.44. Deduct for pandemic, $3,595.63. The net overtime was $9,936.26, representing 230.5 men and women hours. During this pay period, there was one officer injured on duty. There was no officer quarantined at pay period.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Okay. Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
and Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Soho.
Yes.
9 yes.
That concludes the bill list.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Walker. Next, public hearings and ordinances for second reading. H1, person-to-person liquor license transfer, liquor license number 1209-33-036-009. Barish Incorporated trading as Old Bridge Bar and Liquors to Upbeat Spirits LLC. Location 24B, Route 34, Old Bridge. Mrs. Ward is the attorney here for this.
Okay, one moment. Let me just see if he's here. I'm trying to find phone numbers there. I don't see his number listed there yet.
Okay,
Just give me a couple of seconds here. 1 minute. Give me a couple of seconds.
There are a number of people by name listed. So what was the attorney?
Yeah, I see that. I see that. Okay. Mr. Sanjong. Okay. Alex, I need the last one. All right, we're getting him. Hold on 1 minute.
thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay. And I'm trying to get him. Hold on. I know he's there.
Can you hear me?
I can see him there.
We can hear you.
Right.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you this evening? Good?
Yep, doing good. How about you guys?
Very good, thank you.
Okay. All right. I have everything that I need from Upbeat Spirits. I don't know if council has any questions for the attorney.
No, is everything
This
satisfactory?
is the first one, the person.
All right, let's.
Yes,
open-
everything's satisfactory. I have everything I need. Mhm.
Now we have to open it up to the public if there's no other council questions. Anyone else on council?
I have a question.
Okay, Mr. Pescitti?
I just didn't understand, Old Bridge Bar and Liquors.
Yes,
Is that a current business in Old Bridge? And are they
yes,
closed?
yes. Yes, it goes under Rahish and they trade as Old Bridge Bar and Liquors. They're right on Route 34 in Old Bridge. They've been there for many, many years and now they're just transferring to somebody else. And the somebody else is going to go under Upbeat Spirits LLC.
Okay, so the Old Bridge Bar and Liquors is closing?
Being assumed by someone else,
Well,
taking the business.
The store is going to remain there, but then it's not going to be Old Bridge Bar and Liquors. They sold it to Upbeat
Oh, I
Spirits.
see. Okay, great. Thank
But
you.
it's going to be at the same location.
Okay,
Okay, same location.
thank
Okay?
you.
Okay, anyone else?
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the council? Seeing no hands, then we'll open it up to the public.
Okay. I don't know. Hold on 1 moment. Okay, I don't know if any of these people are from for this.
Okay,
There's no way for me to tell if they are for this
No.
liquor license.
If anyone's called in on the phone and you wish to speak on this, press *9. Their hand should be raised, and then we can go off of that.
Right, and this is in reference to this liquor license, H1.
Right. Thank
So
you,
if-
Mr. De Palma.
If anyone needs to raise their hand, they press *9. Thank you, Mr. De Palma.
Okay. I don't see anybody calling in on that.
Okay, we'll wait a minute.
Okay?
Right, Stella? Then,
Stella, let's call by the business name to see. Anybody from NZ Dimes? NZ Dimes representing, please. Star
No,
911.
NZ Dimes is the other one.
right,
No, we're on
NZ Dimes
Upbeat,
wouldn't be on
Upbeat
this.
Spirits.
wait,
Oh,
everybody,
Biz Bar and Spirits, correct, sorry.
Right.
Anybody representing?
That's okay.
so do we have,
See,
Yeah.
there's-
Well, the gentleman was on that was representing them. He already spoke, but
Who's the
there's
attorney?
nobody else.
Mr. Hind,
Your attorney-
Mr. Yeah, right here.
Oh, here,
Okay,
I got the raise hand now.
yeah. Oh, that's not him.
Hi, this is Miss Ward. This
wasn't
is
him.
Anita Galvin calling from Rajan and Rajan. I'm actually the attorney on this file, and I was unable to speak on behalf of Mr. Sanjo Kinduja. He is the
Okay.
managing member of Upbeat Spirits.
okay,
So
all
my
right.
apologies.
Okay, does council have any questions for her?
No.
No questions.
Okay, do you have any questions for us?
No, not at this time. Sanjo, do you have any questions?
Okay, no, the only thing is, as I had said to you, your client just has to come in and pick up the license that I will sign over to him. Okay, he can call me in the morning and we can make arrangements for that. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much. I
Right.
appreciate your help.
Now the council will take a vote on it. And you do know that there are 2 conditions on that license?
Yeah,
Okay, you do know about the conditions with the cameras and the amount of time that you have to hold the film for the police department, and you agree to that, right? Your client agrees to that?
yes, he does.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, that's all I have, Madam President.
Okay, so Eddie, if we have no other,
If we could take a motion?
I need a motion.
Move it.
Move, second,
Okay, moved by Mr. Pasquini, second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
All right, Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pasquini,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
yes?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Soher.
Yes, and good luck to you.
Okay, 9 yes. Okay, thank you very much for attending the meeting, and I will talk to you in the morning. Okay,
Okay? All right, have a good night. Okay,
thank you.
thanks. Next will be H2, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Investor Bank, Block 3230, Lot 2.15, application number 52-16Z. Mrs. Ward?
That's
All
H3.
right, yeah. Madam President, they've been requested to be moved to the 20th because it wasn't advertised. Okay,
Mr. Roselli, this was changed somewhat, the format. It became H2, the clerk told me.
Thank you.
right.
Okay, so it was moved to what date?
We're gonna carry it to the next meeting, to the
Next
July
meeting.
20th meeting.
All right,
Okay,
all
all
right.
right, thank you.
Yep. Next will be H3, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Reclamation Technologies Incorporated, Block 5001, lots 7.11, 7.11, 7.13, 10, and 17. Application number 37-16. Is Mr. Shapiro here?
Yeah, yes. Mr. Wazinski?
Council
He's here.
President, the attorney, Mr. Wisniewski is on, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows that Jim Llewellyn, the project manager, is on as well.
Okay.
I don't know if, Mark, would you like them to go, would you like the attorney to speak first, or?
It is their application, so it would be appropriate if he makes, he goes first. Then you can respond, Nicole.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm assuming you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
So the performance guarantee of $600,000 was posted to guarantee the performance of the items noted in the engineer's list. All of those items have been substantially completed. And under the statute, the applicant may come in and request a return of the performance guarantee upon substantial completion of those improvements. We are in receipt of a punch list from the municipality, but I would submit to the council that the items on the punch list are not items that were bonded. They are items that we are working to complete, but they are not any of the items that were specifically bonded for which we are requesting a return of the performance guarantee. In particular, there are a couple of items that have been provided on that punch list. Mr. Llewellyn, who's on the call with me, advises me that he's provided the operation and maintenance manual. That's number one on the list. And I believe the final item, which is number 7 on the list, is number 10 on the list, is a revised as-built. I saw an email today transmitting that there is one item on the list, item 9, confirm the location status of 150 feet of beam guide rail. That was not something that was part of the final plan, but I think got inadvertently included in the engineer's estimate. The freehold soil approval, which is noted as number 2, is in the process and should be received within a week or two. There's a question about the install 50 feet of pavement, which is item number 3. That is not in our client's final approval resolution. It may be something that is in the tenant's final approval resolution because there were 2 separate applications, but it is not something that is in our client's resolution, and it clearly is not something that is part of the original bond estimate. The markers along wetland buffers and riparian buffers are being installed, but again, that was not something part of the original bond estimate. There were 2 requests that are similar. One is to remove or move the containers back away from the riparian buffer or the slopes. And the other request is to lower the stacking height of containers so that they are no greater than 3. We have spoken to the tenant. They are in the process of doing that. That's probably going to take them about a week to accomplish, but that is something that is being done as we speak. Item number 6, the key for the lock on the Bordentown Avenue emergency access gate has been provided to the fire department. We are also in the process of installing the Knox box. There is currently not a physical structure at that gate to attach it to, so we'll have to put a post or something there to put that Knox box in. The fire marshal has been also contacted to review the water supply and hydrant locations. But as I said at the outset, the items that the municipality requested the $600,000 performance guarantee have been completed, and therefore the $600,000 should be released. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wisniewski.
Council President, if I may, you all probably received my memo dated June 9th, 2020. For those of you that aren't familiar with this property, it's actually located at the northeasterly side of Cheesequake Road, just south and along Bordentown Avenue on the south side. The property is in the Special Development SD3 zone. There was an application in front of our planning board for application number 37-16P, in which Reclamation Technologies, who owns the property, was the recipient of a minor site plan approval for remediation of a Class B recycling facility on February 7th, 2017. That site remediation involved a lot of heavy grading on the property, capping of a majority of the site, and implementation of stormwater management. Reclamation Technology leases their property to a tenant. That tenant is American Maritime Services of New Jersey. They're doing business at Integrated Industry Corp. They received also minor site plan approval for the stacking and for the long-term storage of those containers on the site. That was under application 22-16P in front of the planning board. So what you're looking in front of you is a punch list that was attached to my memo. There was a performance guarantee for the bonded improvements that were posted for $600,000. Performance bond was actually all in cash. So, you know, all the $600,000 was received in cash. There was no previous reduction on the performance guarantee, and my office has no objection to the release. Now, if you know the time frame for the release of this cash portion, here we are in June, on June 15th, and we're talking about the release. And should the council look favorable on that release, we're now back for a second reading at the July 20th meeting, in which I would get it on the August meeting for the bill list for the release of the $600,000. I think in that time frame, it's not a heavy lift to ask the owners of the property to speak to the tenants of the property who are encroaching on these environmentally sensitive areas to remove the containers from those sites. Although not bonded, an easy lift in the next 2 months until that check is ready. Also, you know, although Freehold Soil Conservation District certification or final certification isn't listed on the bond, it is tied into the soil erosion sediment control measures that are bonded. So that approval is subject. The majority of the information that I heard Mr. Wisniewski mention, you know, are in the works. And I don't think it's a heavy lift if they're in the works today for it to be accomplished within the next 2 months. As far as the condition of Cheesequake Road as a result of this improvements, there's gravel on site. And if you see on page 1, the condition of Cheesequake Road, there's gravel, there's rocks, there's large diameter rocks. That's a safety concern. It is now being pulled out into the roadway bed, and that's certainly a safety concern for us. Again, I'm asking the owners to either, you know, pave the first 50 feet so that they're not, you know, tracking the dense graded aggregate onto the roadway. And I'm asking them to speak to their tenants about the encroachments onto into the wetland buffer and onto the riparian buffers. I'm asking them to put wood posts up. Or I believe I had suggested a split rail fencing with signage so that the containers are not placed there. A stipulation in the resolution itself said that within 178 feet of the property line that's bounded by Bordentown Avenue, that the containers not be placed more than 3 feet high. We've gotten complaints within the last year about containers and how high they're stacked. That is a specific condition in the resolution. That can't be ignored, even though we're talking about a bond release for the improvements on the property. So I went into a lot of details. You know, there is There is not supposed to be access from Bordentown. It's only emergency access. The current lock is on the inside of the property, not accessible by our fire marshal. So, you know, I think it was important, and I certainly know municipal land use law. I certainly understand what the applicant's attorney is talking about, but you know, I think these are important to get it enumerated into a punch list and have them spelt out for council. Usually I don't attach a punch list, but I thought in this case it was pretty important to have it attached. So if the council looks favorably on the release, I asked that a condition of it be made that within the next 2 months, as we're going into second reading, we just accomplish the list.
Thank you, Mrs. Shapiro. And anyone from council wish to now ask questions on this?
Well, one clarification, if I may. Ms. Shapiro, you said 3 foot high. You meant 3 container high, right?
I'm sorry, that was 3 containers.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Councilman Biscotti.
Yeah, and I noticed, you know, when I go down Bordentown Avenue, it's unsightly, the containers. You know, I guess we don't have an ordinance, but maybe we should consider it in the future.
Anyone else for a question or a comment? Mr. Murphy?
Yes, Mr. Wisniewski, where exactly is this property? It's John Murphy.
Councilman, the property is on Bordentown Avenue at the municipal boundary line with Saraville,
Oh,
right before the S-curve on Bordentown Avenue where Cheesequake Road comes into it.
so it's right by Cheesequake Road.
That's correct.
Okay, because I want to make sure we don't have water all the way down, like by Doormaster. You know where that is?
Can't say that I'm sure.
It's not near it.
Nicole, you must have checked. They have water there, right?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, are they serviced by water?
Excuse me?
Are you asking if they're serviced by potable water? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I know it doesn't go down Bordentown that far, but I don't know if he's going down that far.
Well, they only have construction trailers on site, and I believe Mr. Wisniewski or even Mr. Llewellyn, please confirm. I believe that there's porta potties on site, and you know there is a construction trailer there. You know,
They're not looking to put water there.
No.
The site is already serviced by water because it has fire suppression. Back when this used to be a recycling facility, going back probably more than a decade ago, there was a fire and there was a requirement that fire hydrants and other fire suppression be brought to the site. So there already is water service at the site.
Oh, that's served by another town. That's what I wanted to find out.
That is the Perth Amboy water system.
It is, because we're right there next to them. And I don't know who, you know, who's going to charge you. If it's in our town, we will charge you.
Perth Amboy is charging the owner of the property or whatever entity Perth Amboy uses to charge for water.
They've been doing that?
For more than a decade.
Well, I'm going to check into that. When they service that from our area, we get paid for that because it's in our area. But I'll check into it.
Okay, John, are you through?
Mayor?
Oh, yes, Mr. Merwin?
Yes. I got to echo Tony. This is an unsightly site. It's like looking at the North Seaport, especially with them at 5 height. Nicole, you're saying that the approval said they could only be 3 containers high?
Well, 3 containers high at the front where Bordentown is. So from the Bordentown property line, 178 feet, very specific, 178 feet of the from the property boundary at Bordentown Avenue for 5 years after the approval. So we're in 2017, they have 2 more, I'm sorry, 2017 was the approval. So it says, probably for the 5 years after the new trees and landscaping are planted. So their approvals were in 2017. I have to see when the trees were planted because we did inspect them. But if we estimate 2018, it would be 5 years from 2018 in which they're supposed to have just 3 container high.
Okay, what about the rest of the site?
The rest of the site, there's specific heights. We checked it while we were out there doing the inspection. They meet that height. And whenever the containers, there are approximately 5-foot high containers, which are very, very shallow in height. But we did count them up high. And I believe it was 47 feet that they're permitted. Don't quote me on it. But we did check it when we were out on inspection because we take the typical height of the container themselves. It was only when there was some special smaller height containers that were 5 feet high that we had to do actually the calculations to add them up. But they did meet the criteria, yes.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the council? You're through, Mr. Merwin? Okay, anybody else from council questions? All right, seeing no hands, then we'll open it up to the public for any comments or questions. Is there anyone, Stella, that you could see that's waiting?
I
to
don't
speak?
see
There is a
any
raised hand.
hands. Dawn 9.
No, there is one,
I
Stella.
see
James.
Mr. Llewellyn.
Right.
Mr. Llewellyn, did you want to add to that?
No, I'm sorry.
Mr. Llewellyn,
Yes, can you hear me?
you're okay? Yes, we can hear
Thank
you.
No, John answered the question. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, I think that's it.
No one else in the public wishes to be heard on this?
It's only 40 seconds.
Yeah, we'll wait a few minutes and see.
Right, we'll wait a few seconds, yes.
You're at 1:15 now, so.
Okay,
Okay, so,
right, I don't see any.
we have, okay, so we'll close then the public portion for this.
Madam President, can I speak, please? So I heard with what Nicole said, a couple questions I had was for Nicole. I just want to confirm whether or not all the bonded improvements were completed and inspected.
The bonded improvements were completed, they were inspected, and the items that I've heard tonight seem to be worked on. Like, for example, the operation maintenance manual for each of the stormwater detention basins we received today. The final approval from Freehold Soil Conservation District, I believe the attorney said was being worked on. The install of the 50-foot of pavement along the entrance driveway, I believe that the applicant's attorney said that they were going to work with the tenant to see if it was on their bonded improvements, which I believe was not on there. So that is one item that is not bonded. Install of the conservation easement markers along the environmentally sensitive areas, which is on my punch list number 4. That is not a bonded item. That takes me to number 5, which is a bonded item to reduce the height within 178 feet, or in my mind, this is part of their approval to reduce the height along Bordentown Avenue for the containers that were with 178 feet for the duration of 5 years. That's item.
Again, but I want to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
There's a distinction between resolution compliance and them completing their bondable items. Satisfaction.
They are complete.
Right. So again, we've been down this road before. I would just caution, to the extent that items have been bonded and they have been completed and they made an application for the reduction or release, and to the extent that they were bondable items were inspected and they were done appropriately, there's no real basis upon which this council can deny the release of the or reduction of the bond. That being said, the issue, I think many of the issues that Nicole has raised are resolution compliance. And Mr. Wisniewski, to the extent that either you or your client or I would hope that your client would put pressure on the tenant to do what he needs to do, and or you have your client do what it needs to do. But otherwise, then we'll just be, issuing zoning violations for failure to comply with the resolution. There's no need for that. Obviously, you're asking for a heavy lift for the township. I think Nicole's right. I mean, those are a lot of housekeeping items. The approval was gotten back in 2017, you said, Nicole?
Yes,
And it was a minor subdivision?
minor site plan.
Minor site plan approval. So, here we are 3 years later, and you're still, putzing around with resolution compliance issues. Now, unfortunately, I understand there's no developers agreement, but typically, to the extent that your client's unable or unwilling to do those, then the town will pursue the appropriate course relative to enforcing the resolution compliance, and if need be, take that. We don't want to have to do that, but obviously, the town has to make sure that the site is safe. The town has to make sure that that the resolution items are addressed, and that your client complies with those items. I would like for you, if you have your representative, your client, if you could at least review the items that Nicole had addressed and give us the assurance that we need that they will be addressed in short order.
Mr. Roselli, I understand and appreciate those comments, and I'll just run through them quickly. There are 10 items. Number one, operation and maintenance manual. As Ms. Shapiro had said, that was received today. They obviously have to review it. Final approval from Freehold Soil. Mr. Llewellyn spoke with them. They say within a week or two that will be done. The issue in dispute is the 50-foot of pavement. It is nowhere in our site plan approval. It may be in the tenant's site plan approval, and we certainly will endeavor to discuss with them whether or not it's in their approval and to encourage them to take that fix. Conservation easement markers along the wetlands buffers, those have been ordered and they will be installed as soon as they are available. We have spoken with the tenant with regard to the next items, reducing the height of the containers. They are in the process of doing that. They tell us within a week that should be reduced. Number 6, the Knox box. Yes, it has not been installed, but the key has been received by the fire marshal. However, the Knox box will now be installed on a wooden post or something like that to comply with that item. In terms of final approval from the Old Bridge Township Fire Marshal, I believe Mr. Llewellyn has been in contact with him, and verbally our understanding is he is fine with the location and accessibility of all the hydrants on the site. With regard to the containers being too close to basins, slopes, and edges, we have also spoken with the tenant. They are in the process within a week of moving them back. As I had said earlier, number 9, the 150 linear feet of beam guide rail, that was actually not included in the final plan, so that, while listed, is not something that was approved or was built. And then finally, the revised as-built plans, Mr. Llewellyn emailed those, and those have to be reviewed, but we believe that issue is complete. And so, yes, it's our goal to address each and every one of these issues with the caveat on issue number 3 about the 50-foot of pavement, because we believe that is a tenant responsibility, not a landlord responsibility.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wisniewski. Is there anyone else who has any questions or comments? If not, I will ask for a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. De Palma.
I had my hand up, Mary.
Sorry, I didn't see it.
So really, after looking at this punch list, it's mostly 3 and 9 that is a concern for you, Mr. Wisniewski. Is that the case?
Number 3, is certainly a concern. Number 9, I don't think it's a concern because I believe Ms. Shapiro's office agrees that while it is listed in the bond estimate, it was something that was not ultimately approved or built.
Okay, so when was this punch list presented to your client?
Probably about a week ago when we first saw the first draft of it.
Okay, so do you feel that 3 and 9 will be accomplished once you figure out whether it's your responsibility or the tenants?
9 will not be accomplished because it was not part of the approved plan.
Mm-hmm.
3, we'll talk to the tenant to see if they will undertake it.
And Ms. Shapiro, if these 3 and 9 aren't done, what's the concerns?
I mean, we do have a bond with the tenant as well. You know, if the tenant doesn't feel like it's their responsibility and the owner doesn't feel like it's their responsibility, my responsibility is to public health and safety. So
Yeah.
somebody's going to have to take care of it. I do have at least the caveat that I do have a bond with the tenant, but the bond for the tenant is not as great as the bond for the owner. But I agree with Mr. Roselli, it is not a bonded improvement. However, when you look at things on paper and you look that they're completing something with gravel, you would hope that it's firm and compacted and not as easily, you know, dragged out onto a public roadway.
Well, I get a lot of complaints from residents in that area about this site, and I don't think waiting one more month and hopefully getting these things accomplished would be in the best interest for the people that live in that area, especially, you know, when you think of the number 3. I mean, it is about public safety, and the rails, it's about public safety.
Well, the guide rail, I believe, was not, it was on the bonded list, but I believe it was replaced at the time by concrete barrier. So it's just, we were asking for confirmation that there was not something extra that's supposed to be installed. I feel assured that the attorney is now telling me that it is not going to be installed. I believe that if the council looks favorably on this, that at the next meeting when we have the second reading, and at the following meeting in August, when the application is on the when the 600,000 is on the bill list to get paid out, the applicant's attorney has time to work it out with the tenant, and therefore sort of buying him time. And certainly, if the board makes it a condition, then we could, you know, at least have that additional time for the applicant to have that coordination or that discussion. But Mark is correct. I don't know if we could hold them up on something that's not bonded, but at least I know that we have some time during this time to get the second reading and to the bill list for them to work it out.
No, I understand that, but I always have to think of public safety and then also aesthetics. We would prefer things to look nice in our town, and there's reasons for that. And being a good neighbor and being a good tenant and being a good landowner, it's only sensible to do that. So I think between now and then it's enough time, and I don't think they're unreasonable requests, you know, not to get them done. Because the people that have lived in that area have dealt with this for many years, and I think this would really enhance the area if those two things were addressed.
Madam President, if I could be heard.
Yes, Mr. Wisniewski.
I understand the councilwoman's concern, but as Mr. Roselli said, I don't think it's within the province of the governing body to add conditions to the release of a performance guarantee in which the improvements which were guaranteed have been completed.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Merwin.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about public safety, and we're not taking any action on the public safety. You know, we are turning a blind eye to it. We need to send the police department out tomorrow, be issuing summonses for carrying those rocks out onto the roadway. And guess what? I'll bet you real quick, after a couple of summonses, that thing gets paved. You know, we can't talk about public safety and then turn a blind eye to it. Either we take action or then we continue to ignore it. Either or.
Okay, are you through, Mr. Merwin? Okay, anyone else have a comment? We have a motion, a second.
Yes, we do. Okay. Mary, do you want me to take a roll call?
I asked, does any council person have any comment or question?
No.
Seeing no hands, we have a motion and a second.
Okay, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
No.
Mr. Merwin?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
Can you hold my water? Kluska!
No.
Kluska!
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Yeah, he's a big dog.
Mr. Murphy, I can't hear you.
Mr. Shaw, can you mute the person whose number ends in 3592, please?
I was just gonna say, I don't know who that is, but we're doing a roll call.
592. I don't see a 3592 up here.
Yeah, it's there.
Muted now.
Muted.
Yeah, now it's
It's
muted,
there?
but it's muted now.
Okay, all right, I see it now. All right. Okay, Mr. Murphy?
No.
No? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Fischetti?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
President Sohar?
No.
President Sohar, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
No.
We have 2 yes and 7 no.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, next will be preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on any subject matters for a maximum period of 3 minutes. Comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which comment or a public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Okay, on the screen now, you'll see the numbers to call if anybody on the outside wants to call in. Okay, Madam President, I have 1 hand up.
Okay? Good
Okay, 3592. Go ahead, please.
Hey,
Can
Madam
I have your-
President, Nina Jock,
Your name and address, please.
Nina Jochnowitz, West Greystone Road. First, I wanted to apologize. I don't know how you unmuted me in the process, but I'd like to leave. There's going to be a later time that we can speak, correct? Or is this the only time for the public portion?
Madam President?
You know, there's the public portion now, and then there's council, I don't see, yeah, there's public comment at the end of the meeting as well.
At the end.
Okay, I'll leave my comments for the end of the meeting. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Okay,
Okay.
then we have last digits 9623.
Okay.
Didn't
Good
ra-
evening.
Okay, 9623.
they didn't raise a hand, Stella.
Yeah, no. No, All right, he's on there, but he doesn't raise his hand. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, so we'll wait a minute. How long has it been?
Okay. All right, well, wait a minute. Okay. Okay, *9 will raise your hand if you want to speak, 9623. Okay. Okay, I see no hands raised.
Okay, how long has it been now?
Guess we can give it
You want to give it a couple of minutes?
a couple of more seconds, yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Just in case.
Yep.
Good now?
One, Stella?
Okay, I think we're good. I don't see anybody else. Okay.
All right. Okay, so we'll close then the public portion at this point. Okay, and next we'll go to council member comments. Stella, you want to?
Sure. Okay. We'll start from, want to start from end or you want to start from the beginning? Want to start with, all right. Mrs. Brown, would you like to start?
I was actually going to ask, can we start from the end? Because you usually start with me. So can you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Mrs. Sohar, is that all right with you?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, Mrs. Sohar, you're up first.
Okay, the only comment I have is I'd like to congratulate the graduating class of 2020 of everyone here in Old Bridge and, you know, all over. But this is a really different kind of time, different kind of commencements and so on. And I really just want to wish everyone good luck in their future endeavors. It has been a difficult year and, it takes a lot to finish off a year this way. So I just wanted to say best wishes to everyone and good luck. Have a great summer. And hopefully in the fall, you will have, things will get back to normal. And anyone going away to college, very good luck to all of you and really be safe. Have a great summer.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker, you're next.
Yeah, I just want to tell everyone with things opening up again, I hope that everybody will patronize the stores and restaurants in Old Bridge. And I just wish everybody a healthy June.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rizzoli.
Thank you. I'm glad to see all the restaurants are reopening slowly. Unfortunately, I feel that the governor's directives are unconstitutional. Seems to be going out of his way to hurt our businesses when they try to reopen, taking people to court when he doesn't follow his own directives. So I do not support any of his directives, and I just recommend to all the businesses out there, do what you have to do to survive. You're investing into municipalities throughout the state. How they're being treated unconstitutionally is disgraceful. And I definitely do not support anything the governor's doing regarding his unconstitutional directives. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Pescetti?
Yes, since the governor made a directive that made our voting for the primary all vote by mail, everyone's gotten a ballot in the mail to vote. And there was some confusion in Old Bridge, some CD, which is Congressional District 12 and Congressional District 6, got switched or messed up, and now there's duplicate ballots out there. And so make sure that you have the correct ballot. On the bottom, it tells you what congressional district you're voting. And if you're not sure what congressional district you're in, you can go to house.gov and put in your zip code. You're going to need the zip code +4, and then it'll tell you who your representative is and what district you're in. And it does matter. It makes a big difference. Yeah, so if anybody, if anybody in Ward 5 or anybody in Old Bridge, if you need help with the ballot, feel free to give me a call, and I'll do everything I can to help you out. My cell number's 732-500-0414. All right, just give me a call and I'll try to help you as best I can. You got to follow all the directions. You have to sign this, otherwise they won't count your vote. It'll just get thrown away. So it's very specific on how you have to fill it out. And I know a lot of people usually don't do the vote by mail. And is what it is, I guess. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, real quick, Anita got disconnected.
Yes, I know. I contacted Himanshu. Hopefully he'll get her back.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Rizzoli.
Okay. All right, Mr. Pescetti. Mr. Murphy, you're up next.
Hi, how you doing, everybody?
Hi,
Murphy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd just like to make my own personal congratulations to a young lady named Jordan Totten. She was selected at Valedictorian for the high school this year. And they're from a longtime family. In fact, it used to be called Tottenville over in the South Old Bridge, where they were all from. And I just want to congratulate, that's a great thing to be Valedictorian. And I think the mayor has some other things to talk about later. Okay, thank you. That's all I want to say. That's my personal congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Merwin, you're up.
Yes. This is something I brought up in the past. The great thing about living in the beach area is that we got that beautiful beach. And except with that comes some other problems, and those other problems are parking and the overrunning of our neighborhoods by all the fishermen and all the people that utilize that beautiful beach down there. And you have fishermen, when fishermen fish, they fish with the tides. So if it's high tide at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're out there at 3 o'clock in the morning. If it's starting to go out at midnight, they're leaving at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're parking in the neighborhoods. So, people have their vehicles and they have their boats and stuff in the area. So when somebody hears the car doors closing at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're getting up and checking to see what's going on. I've asked before. I think it's something that we need residential parking in that area. the fishermen come back, they drop their garbage off at the curb line and then they leave. And the neighbors are, left to fend with it. So, again, I'm going to request that we have residential parking in Ward 1, District 2, which is the Shoreland Circle area and the Bayview President section. And, at least it gives our people some peace. Right now, it's a quality of life thing. They're constantly being woke up and having to clean up garbage and stuff after them. So I would like to put that forward. Now, I know that Hamacho had some other ideas with that, and like maybe having paid parking at the beachfront, and because believe me, on the weekends that thing is generating 300-400 cars a day, if not more. So there definitely is a revenue source there. So I just putting that out there, but I would definitely hope that we can come up with this residential parking so that our people aren't inundated down there. That's
So
it.
President, if I may,
Mr. Shaw.
both Mayor and I spoke about this issue, and Mayor agrees that we need to have a approved residential parking. We also spoke about I spoke to a number of people here in the administration about the ideas that came about saying, we have a parking lots behind Hoffman Pharmacy. There are 3 or 4 parking lot, behind the county building, facility we have, the substation, and that we should, just like any other shore community with the high traffic, there's a high cost of services we have, that we should charge a parking fees from the Memorial Day to the maybe October. And I think it's a good idea. I mean, in addition to providing residential parking permit, just like we have other streets, it makes sense to do that. So if council agrees, we can bring an ordinance for introductions on July 20 meeting.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
Mayor, you want to add to?
I think the council needs to realize over the last couple of years, we've had to employ additional resources at our beachfront because of the popularity of people coming to Old Bridge, especially on the weekends. There's a large crowd does come there, and police have a full-time presence there on the weekends now. So we have incurred additional costs, and as other shore towns, they make up revenue with parking. And I think it would benefit the residents and the people who come and visit the site. Now they would have a place to park and pay at the pay station and enjoy their day, as opposed to parking in front of somebody's house. And sometimes that leads to conflict where people don't like people parking in front of their homes. So I think it's a win-win situation for everyone there. And we definitely, I think a conversation must be held by the council, and parking restrictions of some sort initiated in that area of the town. They're needed.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Okay, we're up to Dr. Greenberg.
Yes, sorry, something happened with my computer, but I'm glad that I'm back on. So I didn't hear a few people, but first of all, I want to say thank you to Mary Sohar for reaching out to multiple homeowners associations in town. They've been wonderful, organizing food drops for the food bank, and Councilman Rizzoli, Councilman DePalma, Councilman Walker, myself, and Mary have gone around with the food bank truck. And I just want to say thank you to Cheesequake Village. They were phenomenal what they've done. All these communities, Lake Ridge West, Yardley Manor, Country Place, Deerwood Farms, Plaza Grand, and Heritage Woods. And it's just such a nice feeling to see people come together, work very earnestly to help those in need and in a time of need, especially during this pandemic. It's hit everybody hard, and many people in different ways, but It's been wonderful to see the amount of food that has been generated through these communities that support the food bank. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I've been getting so many complaints through residents throughout the town about these absentee ballots. First of all, the wrong ones. In Aldridge, we have two different districts. We have District 12 and District 6 for Congress. Well, people in District 6 have been getting ballots for District 12. And that's been a common scenario that I get inundated with calls on a regular basis. And I hope that gets corrected at the county level. But it's very frustrating, once again, that money is spent to send these ballots out and they're the wrong ballots. That's the first thing. Also, I've gotten calls from people that if they're registered Republicans, they're getting the ballot for the Democrat candidates primary. So truly, I don't know why this happens repeatedly. It's a boondoggle, it's a waste of money, and it gives a lot of confusion. And especially with District 6 and 12, when you get a ballot and you're near 6 and it says for Congress for Mark Rizzoli, people aren't sure. They're just going to vote and send it in. I don't even know what's going to happen because there's a lot of seniors that got that. And it's going to be mass confusion. And also, I would have to say, I think it's very sad that we do not have polling machines at our polling booths, that they're all going to be provisional ballots. I certainly believe if you can go to Costco's, you can go to Walmart's, BJ's, Sam's Club, Acme, ShopRite, all these places, there's no reason why you cannot take and have a voting machine and do it properly and safely. And to me, it's very discouraging. And right now it's mass confusion once again. So I hope this gets straightened out. Obviously, before the primary, I know Stella's worked very hard to put polling places throughout the town. She's following the direction, obviously, from the state and from the county, and doing the best that she possibly can at this time. And I hope it gets straightened out for the primary and also for the election in November. People have a right to vote and a right to vote the way that they like. And this absentee ballot is being pushed on everybody. And then, I know from going through many other elections, the Board of Elections is inundated. Votes don't get counted properly. And it just creates a lot of problems. That it's unfortunate that in 2020 we have this. So I hope, this gets rectified, and, I can't wait to hear from the county. I never got a phone call at all from it, but I know on Facebook, the other side got information, and that's disturbing also. So hopefully this gets taken care of. Thank you.
Excuse me, can I speak to Anita?
John, if anything, you could call me later.
No, yeah, okay. Is it only vote by mail in this election?
No, I will address that in a little while.
Ella has it in her clerk report.
Mr. De Palma, you're up next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. So in light of the recent events, I just wanted to make a quick comment and then a couple other things. So we as a community must stand together, unified to support each other and every citizen to ensure the rights granted to us by the U.S. Constitution are not infringed. Regardless of your religion, your creed, race, or political beliefs, we all have a common trait. We're Americans. And as Americans, hundreds of thousands and countless people have fought for us and died to ensure that we do have and those rights are protected. Today's Supreme Court ruling was a great example of ensuring that all citizens are treated with dignity and fairness that we each deserve. I just ask that our community, and we have seen that over the last couple of weeks, our community stays together. We treat each other with dignity. We have open conversations about what's going on. The next thing I had, Mr. Shah, to Mr. Merwin's point, I saw a couple of complaints, and I got a complaint actually today about the beachfront. Apparently there has been a lot of trash and stuff that has been left down there. especially this past weekend. I don't know if there's anything that we could do about it down at the beachfront parks. I know some of them are county. I don't know if there's something that we can make a phone call to the county or even our folks themselves to go down there and kind of rectify that.
Council President, if I may.
Yes.
I received a call. We already have put in motion. Matt will be reaching out to the county parks department head, Rick Lair, and then we're going to follow up that. And if it's needed, we'll use our staff to take care of it, but certainly agree that we need to get that area cleaned up. So we'll take an action on that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I saw a couple of, I actually got a phone call this morning from one of the residents that was down there. I guess it was yesterday, and then I saw a couple social media posts again today. So if we can just make sure, to Dave's point and to the mayor's point, and we're kind of one of those first stops on the beachfront tour of Route 35. So let's make sure that looks as nice as possible, especially now that our residents are continuing to use it, and that's a good thing. Let's just make sure that it keeps up that way. It seems one of the things that I had was the vote by mails, just that the CD6 and the CD12 for Ward 2 seems to have some mix-up. So I know you're going to address that as well.
Yeah, I'm going to address that, yeah.
As well as where we could do the provisional ballot locations on July 7th. And the final thing is just, good luck to all our businesses that are reopening today. I encourage everyone in our town to shop and eat locally. These are the same businesses and restaurants that will jump at a chance to donate to our schools and to all of our local events that are occurring. So please, I think it's our time now to return that generosity. Let's make sure that those folks stay in business. Let's get out there. All the wonderful businesses that open today, and then in the coming weeks, those businesses that open, let's make sure that we get out to them and support them.
Is that it, Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
That's it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mrs. Brown, you're up next.
Okay. So first I want to just bring up something that some constituents were looking to do. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, yes, that's what you're coming in fine.
Okay, good. So there are some residents, rather community members, that would like to have a drive-in movie that would actually utilize a lot of the businesses here. I think it's really a good idea. We can talk about it more offline, but they're interested in doing something where businesses can provide food and we can set up a drive-in movie theater. Obviously, we'd have to pick a location, maybe a parking lot somewhere, and just set up there, and different businesses can maybe have like ice cream stands or, deliver food to the car. So wasn't my idea, but it was a really great idea from some people in our community. So I just wanted to mention that. I also want to thank some friends that have been going around and delivering food to families that are, still really, really practicing social distancing and, maybe have underlying health conditions and can't get out to the store. So I have some, I won't mention their names, but just some secret friends that have been going around and, helping people. And if anybody wants a food delivery, like if they just want some groceries, some produce, please give me an email. I would give my phone number out. Maybe I'll just stick with email. So, but you can certainly find my email pretty easy too. My phone number easily as well, but people can go onto the Old Bridge Township website and then pull my email off of there and send me an email if they would like some deliveries. I'm going to go in a more emotional direction. I know this is like a really painful time for a lot of people. I certainly feel for the students that haven't been in school, my kids included. I'm really impressed with them because they've gotten like straight A's pretty much throughout this whole COVID situation and gotten on different clubs, which is really amazing how they were able to do this remotely. But I'm just really proud of them, and I'm proud of all the students who just kind of jumped right in. My 8-year-old said to me the other day, he goes, "Mom, when they first said that we didn't have school for a week, I was like, yay, I'm so excited." He's like, but then the weeks kept turning into weeks, into months. So, I feel I feel bad because, kids are used to seeing each other and, having fun and playing games. So now they've been doing everything virtually, like virtually playing video games and virtually having play dates. So I feel for the kids in our community, but, I hope they're all doing well, and, they're going to remember this for the rest of their lives. This is going to be in the history books, I do want to speak up about also, obviously, there's a lot of things that have been going on in the nation, and I've been super, super hurt and just, I don't like to look at violence. I don't like to look at videos of people getting hurt. Hearing about it has been enough for me to be completely just down for the past couple of weeks, to be honest. I know there's people who are hurting really badly. It's a really painful time for a lot of people. And then I have close family members that are police officers, like state police officers. A really good friend of mine just called me today. He's been calling me a lot to, talk about some of his frustrations, what's going on too. So it's tough, but I've also been speaking locally to students that are currently in Old Bridge High School, alumni, kids in the middle school. And they're upset too, kids of all backgrounds, and they really want us to come together as a community in a better way so that everyone feels safe and connected. So, I just say myself as a leader of color here, I feel like this connection, obviously, because I share a lot of the lived experiences that our community of color have faced. So, and I feel like these experiences can inform how we can do something different here. So I would just really like to ask that as a council, we work together on doing something. I have, again, a lot of lived experiences that can help us to bridge the gap and really make sure that a lot of people in our community feel safe. And, I think all of our community is smart enough to know if we do something in a, disingenuous way, or if it's not real and coming from the heart. So I want to make sure that we work together on something that will really make our community shine brighter than it already does. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Sohar, I think we have everybody.
Yes, that'll conclude council comments. Thank you, everyone. Next will be reported.
Okay, yes, I have one. And it's going to address the election problems that everybody has been having. Yes, everyone's correct. The incorrect ballots did go out from the county. When we called to find out what had happened, it was something to do with a printer problem, we were told. They did send out new ones. And as far as the 2 congressional districts, which is very, very confusing for a lot of the residents, a lot of them didn't even know that there were 2 congressional districts in the town.
Yeah.
What the county is going to do, just so everyone knows what district they're going to be in and what district they should vote in, there's only 3 polls that we are going to have for the elections to try to keep everybody safe and well. The primary elections, as everyone knows, are Tuesday, July 7th. Polls open at 6 a.m. They close at 8 p.m. The mail-in ballots that are going to be sent out because of the COVID-19, they're going to be sending out the applications and then the ballots. If you receive the incorrect ballot, you're going to get the right ballot. They've already gone out. If you haven't received your ballot and you're a little concerned next week, give me a call and I will call the county for you. Okay. If you do decide to go to the polls to cast your vote, as I said, there's only going to be 3, which I will let you know what 3 they're going to be. There's only going to be 3. You are not going to be voting on a machine. You're going to be voting by provisional ballot only. Now, of course, it's completely your choice. But if you're going to be voting on provisional ballot, it might be more convenient for you to vote by mail. And those ballots will go directly to the county for a vote. It's done for the sake, basically why they did this. It's done for the safety of the poll workers and for your safety. All right. Too many people coming into the polls. They can only clean so much in between each voter. Most likely they will only let 5 voters in at a time. And they're going to be cleaning almost constantly. So it's going to be a little tough for them. The polls that will be opened are going to be the Old Bridge High School grade 9 building. So when you pull into the Old Bridge High School lot, you're gonna go to the right. Grade 9 building, door number 5, and it's located 4209 Route 516, right in Mattawan, right where the high school is, so you can't miss it. Pull in, go to the right. Memorial School, 11 Eli Avenue, and Southwood School, 64 Southwood Drive. Now you're going to be getting cards, which the county is going to be mailing out. And the cards are going to tell you which poll to go to. Because of the 2 congressional districts and because it's so confusing for everybody, the county is going to have the correct poll for you to go to, so you will have the correct ballot there if you choose to vote by provisional ballot. Okay. Again, if you do not receive the card for any reason and have any question which congressional district you're in and where you should go to vote, please call me. All right. And that's basically it. I mean, we are still going back and forth with the county on many items. I talk to them not daily, but almost daily. We have at least one conference call every single week, and then there's a few conference calls during the week when we have items that just come up out of the blue. So please call me if you have any questions. Everybody is learning as they're going along here. The county input something, and then they find out that they have to do it a different way. So they're just as upset as we are, as the residents are. We're all trying to work this out, so it will be an easy situation on election day. Just bear with us. And as I said, I've gotten many calls from residents. We'll take all your calls. You can email me, sward@oldbridge.com, or call the line 732-721-5600. My direct extension is 2211 or 2200, and we'll all be able to help you out. Okay, I hope that covered basically it. Don't be frustrated. We're gonna get this right. We're trying, okay? And that's all I have, Madam Secretary.
Okay, everyone heard Stella, we're good?
Stella, I just had
Yeah, we're good.
just 2 quick questions. So you said for the grade 9 center, it's door number 5?
Right.
Okay, and then the other question that I had, and I'm sorry, I forgot to bring it up before. Folks did get vote by mail registrations a couple of weeks ago. Just
right.
Just want to make sure that we clarify to them. You do not need to register to vote by mail for this election, especially for the primary.
Right.
It's a vote by mail primary. So no matter what you're voting for, whether you are a vote by mail or a vote at the poll, you're going to be voting
right.
by mail. And if you put in if you put in for the vote by mail, if you put the registration card to vote by mail, you're going to be voting by mail in November. So just so folks are aware of that, because I think there was a little confusion initially, because the vote by mail applications came, then the vote by mail came. I just want to make sure that folks just understand that. So if they do show up for in November and they're supposed to be voting by mail, they're not voting provisional when they expect to.
Right, exactly. Yeah, all right, okay. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll take a moment to accept Stella's report.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Pischetti, second by Mr. De Palma. Thank you, Stella.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Merwin?
He's raising a thumb, but I don't hear him.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Murphy?
We might have lost John. I don't see him on here.
I don't see him, so.
Yeah, I don't see.
Mr. Pischetti?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
8 yes, thank you.
Okay, next report of the attorney, Mr. Roselli.
Nothing to report, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. And next will be administrative report, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, Council Presidents. At the conclusion of my report, a little lengthy this time, but Mayor also would like to add, so please recognize Mayor. My report form is a little bit different, so, but not much. Administrative report for June 15, 2020. Number one, Planning Department. The council suspended Chapter 320-4M of the code that limits outdoor dining to 8 seats and authorized creation of temporary permitting through administrative review process and waive any fee associated with the temporary outdoor dining permit. Businesses were encouraged to file application electronically to ensure that all applications were reviewed in a timely manner. As of Friday, June 12th, the committee received 16 applications, of which 14 applications received permits. The remaining 2 applications have not been processed as we're still waiting for authorization from landlord. One of the requirements a landlord has to approve the restaurant to have outdoor dining. 2 additional applications were submitted over the weekend. One was issued permit while the remaining had missing information. 1 application was received today and is currently being reviewed. Where tents required, where an outdoor tent is required, permit from the Fire Prevention Bureau is required, and the Bureau has issued such permit promptly. Item number 2, Planning Board Census. In light of COVID-19 outbreak, the U.S. Census has adjusted the census self-response deadline from July 31st to October 31st. Individuals can respond online, by phone, or by mail. The Constitution mandates that all people be counted every 10 years in a national census conducted by the United States Census Bureau. New Jersey receives about $23 billion in federal funds each year based on the count. So every count is vital for proper state fundings. In order to further boost the response rate, the township is taking additional measures for public outreach. Our staff has been and will continue to assist residents in filing census form online. All census-related information is posted on a township website and is located at oldbridge.com/census. Item number 3, Public Works. The recycling center is now open Tuesday and Thursday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. They'll accept TV, electronics, metal, carpeting, mattresses, concrete, and more. For full list of items, visit oldbridge.com/recycling. Curbside materials such as cardboard, paper, bottles, cans, and plastics are no longer accepted. Those items should be recycled with your bi-weekly curbside services. Old Bridge Food Bank. During the month of May and June, several homeowners associations held food drive to benefit the Old Bridge Food Bank on a day of giving, coordinated by Council Presidents Mary Sohar. Over $5,000 in monetary donations were collected and 7 trucks full of food were donated. We would like to thank the following homeowners association for their participation in these food drives: Cheesequake Village, Cheesequake Woods, Country Place, Deerwood Farms, Heritage Wood, High Point, Lake Ridge West, Barrett Estate, Plaza Grande, Trevor Place, and Yardley Manor. Food drive will continue in July with homeowners association who have not donated yet. We thank Council President Mary Sohar, Mayor Owen Henry, and council members who assisted with the pickup of donations that included Debbie Walker, Councilwoman Debbie Walker, Councilwoman Anita Greenberg-Belli, Councilman Eric DePalma, and Councilman Mark Rosoli. We also thank the residents of Old Bridge for their support of the food bank. Item number 5, estimated third quarter tax bills. Due to the disruption caused by COVID-19 outbreak, the Division of Local Government Services has strongly recommended that municipalities prepare to issue estimated property tax bills for the third quarter of 2020. On tonight's consent agenda is a resolution to approve an estimated tax levy. Estimated third quarter tax bill will be mailed in the beginning of July For additional information, residents should go to the oldbridge.com or contact the Division of Tax Collection at extension 2999. Item number 6, 2020 annual road resurfacing improvements. Bids were received and opened on June 10th for the 2020 annual road resurfacing improvement contract 2020-44. 9 contractors submitted their bids that range from $1,357,740.70 to $1,614,010. The engineer estimate was $1,375,616.18. Mako Inc. is the lowest bidder at $1,357,740.70. The project will provide road resurfacing improvement on 30 township roads. Award of the contract has been included on tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. Construction is anticipated to begin on or about July 15. The project is funded to township capital bonds. Item number 7, 2020 annual curb replacement program. Bids were received and opened on June 10th for 2020 annual road resurfacing improvements, contract number 2020-46. 6 contractors submitted their bid that range from $456,182 to $565,295. The engineer's estimate was $443,963.02. Neva Construction LLC, the lowest bidder at $456,182. The project will provide curb replacement on the following roads: Hamilton Court, Leaf Lane, Beverly Drive, Concord Drive, Glen Avenue, and York Street. Out of the contract has been included on tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. Construction is anticipated to begin on or about July 15. The project is funded through township capital bond. Item number 8, administration building second floor security upgrade and COVID-19 related upgrade. Bids were received and opened on June 6th for the administration building second floor upgrade, contract number 2020-47. 4 contractors submitted their bids that range from $403,900 to $589,000. Tri-Home Construction is the lowest bidder at $403,900. Construction will include but not limited to reconfiguring of engineering, human resources, planning, and tax assessor offices to include security windows and door access cards, as well as COVID-19 related protections. Award of the contract has been included on tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. Construction is anticipated to begin on or about July 15th. The project is funded through township capital bond. Item number 9, culture arts. The Old Bridge Culture Arts Committee will be producing a virtual theatrical performance this summer that will be shared on various social media platforms. They are currently accepting video auditions. Please visit the township website under OB Arts for the detail. The Department of Parks and Recreation and Old Bridge Culture Arts Committee are currently planning a drive-in movie. This is something that Councilwoman Brown just indicated. The date, location, and movie will be announced soon on the township website and social media. Item number 10, Department of Parks and Recreation. Department of Parks and Recreation and Social Services is excited to be offering Camp in Box to residents of Old Bridge. For more information, please visit oldbridge.com/recreation or email us at recreation@oldbridge.com. On June 22nd, Old Bridge Parks will be open to regular parks hours from dawn to dusk. The dog park, tennis, pickleball, and wall ball courts will be fully open with the social distancing in place. Based on a governor's executive order, playgrounds will remain closed. We'll also be putting the basketball rims back up and allowing the courts to be open for play. However, we are strongly discouraging gameplay. Shooting around and running individual drills are permitted. The department is diligently working on updated permit process to allow field permits in the near future. In fact, the guidance for the field permits and a field usage for baseball and other activities just received this evening. And so Parks and Recreation will be putting together proper signage and permit process soon. The practice starts on June 22nd. An actual game will be permitted as of July 6th, I believe. So we were waiting for this guideline from State Department of Health and to issue the permit. Item number 11, Cottrell Park Rehab ribbon cuttings. A groundbreaking ceremony has been scheduled for Thursday, July 2nd at 10 a.m. at Cottrell Farm to kick off the rehabilitation of historic farmhouse and accessory buildings. The rehabilitation of the existing building is part of a large park projects for the site, with the construction set to begin later this year. The ceremony will follow all state social distancing guidelines imposed at the time of ceremony. Council President, that concludes my administrative report, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Henry.
Mayor?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Tonight I have a couple items I'd like to talk about. They came up rather quickly, and we didn't have enough time to put them in writing for Mr. Shah. So I have 4 items I'd like to touch base on. First, as you mentioned, Council President, the graduating class of 2020, how important it is as a town that we all congratulate them. And I'm personally excited about their future, and certainly the best of luck to all our graduates as they move forward in their lives. But tonight I would like to read a proclamation about the best of the best here in Old Bridge of a graduating senior, as Councilman Murphy touched upon. I have a proclamation tonight for Jordan Totten, who is a senior at the Old Bridge High School class of 2020. Through her commitment and dedication to her education, she has continuously excelled in her studies, graduating at the top of her class from Jonas Salk Middle School and Carpenter Elementary School. Jordan is being recognized as she is ranked #1 of the graduating class of Old Bridge High School. Mr. Murphy let something out of the bag that I cannot read tonight because it's not official till Wednesday, but that line will be in the proclamation. She is in the National Honor Societies for Math, English, Science, and History, serving as Vice President for the History Honor Society and President as the National Honor Society. She has also been involved in the Student Senate and Future Business Leaders of America. She was a leadership ambassador at the U. O'Brien's Youth Leadership Conference. In her junior year, Jordan Totten founded the academic mentoring program within the school that coordinates with the teachers and administration from the elementary, middle, and high schools to provide students with the information needed to make good decisions about their education. This program also focuses on keeping positive mental health while managing academics, athletics, and extracurricular activities. Jordan Totten has received and achieved excellence in athletics, receiving the News 12's New Jersey Scholar Athlete of the Year. Jordan is a triathlete. She has received the Athletes Rising Star Award for Junior Scholar Athletes. She is a 3-sport captain as a senior, a member of the NJ Knight Soccer Club, playing with the varsity soccer team, and has received the Most Improved Player Award in her sophomore year, as well as the Midfield Player of the Year Award in her senior year. Jordan scored the goal that won Old Bridge's varsity soccer its first ever Greater Middlesex County Championship. As a member of the girls basketball team selected all division for the Red Division in her sophomore year. She's also a member of the varsity golf team. Jordan is a lifelong resident of Old Bridge and spends time volunteering her time for the Just for Kids special needs soccer program. She tutors her peers in physics and math and volunteers for events throughout the township of Old Bridge. Jordan will be studying chemical engineering at the Georgia Institute of Technology as a Gold Scholar. Now, therefore, I, Owen Henry, Mayor of the Township of Old Bridge, the Township Council, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, and citizens of Old Bridge do hereby extend our congratulations to Jordan Totten in a recognition of her academic and athletic events. Council, it says quite a bit about our graduating seniors.
Wow.
And it's, I
Very
think a
nice.
lot of them have a lot in
Very
common with what
nice.
I've just read. So congratulations, Jordan.
Wonderful.
Really
That is
good
so
job.
Very nice,
very, very nice. Congratulations.
Outstanding.
very nice.
The second item I'd like to talk about, a number of council talked about it, was, as you know, today we reached a milestone in town with our local residents being able to open for outdoor dining. I need to publicly thank the council for their help, putting their faith in the administration, for working with our small businesses to get that process up and running. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the planning and engineering department for their quick turnaround. Once we were given the go-ahead, Vina and her staff, they went above and beyond. And I was out today visiting businesses, and boy, they are very happy, and they couldn't give enough thanks to the administration and the council for everything that you have done for them to put them back in business and allowing them to do what they are doing with the outside dining. I think Steve is on a phone line. I think Steve has something to say. He's, fighting he's on the front lines, him and Roe, every day. I think they visited every business in town and asked how we can help. So Steve, if you're online, please join in. And I know you had some other things you wanted to say about our plans moving forward and what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to help these local businesses get going. So Steve, if you're online, please.
I'm here, Mayor.
There you are, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council President, Council. A quick update on where we were, where we are now, and the future of Old Bridge, looking from an economic perspective. It's not been easy. It's been a tough road and a very tough road for our local businesses, as we all know. So a couple of things we did prior to the shutdown, just before it shut down, the Economic Development Office hit the ground. We visited and handed out flyers for information on state and local assistance programs so that they can be a little bit ahead of the curve and get their applications in beforehand, making it possible, letting them review and possibly apply for them. Working with our administration, our TV crew, our business administrator, Himanshu, our administrative team started disseminating the information when the shutdown really took place, getting the information out there of the federal, the state, and local disaster programs. We even shared the county's unemployment information for our residents that may have been displaced from work. So through the social media platforms, emails, direct calling, and regular visits out there to our community that was seeking help, we went out there to try and help them as best we could. One interesting thing that came out of it, I got an email from one of the shopping center owners here in town, and they were giving us kudos, our council and all, because we were ahead of the curve. We were further ahead than any other towns that they had shopping centers in. So they gave us kudos that we were ahead of the curve in the very beginning. But the really good news is, as the mayor mentioned, we were out visiting many restaurants earlier today, and I followed up afterwards, just getting out there, posting it on our Facebook pages. That'll be even shared even more. At the excitement out there of being open, being back to work again with the outdoor seating. We want to thank all that assisted in helping us get the temporary outdoor seating ordinance done. Our council and other departments, Vina, engineering and planning, they did step up, as the mayor said. Rosemary, we all worked very hard as well. And it was a challenge, but you know what? As of today, we had a lot of smiling faces out there as we went through the town, as the mayor visited the restaurants we had in the time frame that he had. And I went out and seeing the joy, and hopefully, we must get out there, as Councilman DePalma said, get out there and support our local businesses as we ramp up again and bring Old Bridge back. Some of the local restaurants that are offering dining out options, and I'm going to go down a list, some of them are still in the process, maybe one or two, of getting their applications for what they'd like to do. Bubba's, Texas Roadhouse, Panera Bread, both locations, Ponte Vecchio, the Esposito, Heirloom Kitchen, Grillstone, Comfy, Friendlies, Cafe Luna, Feast, General Saloon, Pine Tavern, Ganger, and Granite, just to name a few. We have 16 of them, I believe, that are in the stream. Some of them aren't even set to open until next week because they're still getting their staff and everyone together. But again, My office will continue to offer the businesses and the owners the support they require to begin that reopening process. We are positive that in this time, we can support them and bring them back to the point of where they were in the past. Another final good news and positive note. I'm pleased to announce that there are new businesses in this town slated to open their doors here in Old Bridge. As I was out traveling around through the town in the past couple of weeks, and even today during this crisis, I've seen businesses ready to open. One of them, in the middle of this, one of them, we have a kitchen and bath store that opened up on Route 9, on the corner of Perrine. Worldwide Tile, it's in the shops at Old Bridge, is ready to open within a week, set to open as soon as they can. A new small business is under construction in the Woodhaven Center on Texas Road. And the big one is Chick-fil-A is moving along and they'll be operational very soon. So I'm watching that project take place. So the future in Old Bridge looks bright. We will continue to provide the needed support and encourage everyone to get out, support our local businesses as we help them. And we always work, and we're working together for them to recover and build. And as the mayor always says and mentions, they're the backbone of our community. And we put the call out for all our residents, employees, everyone, to assist them to bring back our town even stronger. So, Mayor, I think we covered a lot, and a lot of council people covered it, but our council and our teams as a community, as a unified team, helped our businesses.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Yeah, and Council, we were the first town, I think, to move on the outdoor dining ordinance, but we got no press. It was the towns that followed us, they got on the news, so, but that's okay.
We'll get it.
The third item I have, as Amanchu touched upon, our parks is another area in town we want to get back up and running as soon as possible. Matt's on the line. He can talk a little bit about it. Amanchu went over some things, but with the parks and the activities that go on in the parks, that changes almost 2 or 3 times a day. So as soon as we get the information, we're going to get it out to the people that use our parks and get them open for the athletic events that should be taking place at this time. So Matt, if you want to say, how we're dealing with the people that want to use the fields, I know we're gearing up for that. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll get the go ahead. But in the meantime, there's a lot of work just before, people start using the fields. There's going to be all types of new policy that people are unfamiliar with in place in order to use our park. So, but I want the council to know we work on that on a daily basis also. So Matt, if you want to say a few words about bringing our parks back online.
Sure.
Thanks,
As long as everybody can hear me. As we've seen along this whole process, there's a lot of executive orders, and then following those executive orders, us in the Parks and Recreation field are anxiously awaiting those guidance. As when I spoke in your office, I said those guidelines are probably going to come right as the meeting started, and at 7 p.m. I emailed them out to you. It does break down now when it was going into contact versus non-contact. It's breaking them down in tiers, with the high risk tier, a medium risk tier, and a low risk tier. So now that we've received those guidance, we now know what practices can start, when games can start, and it's even going out to high risk for football and certain things like that. Once we really have time to look at this and digest it, we're going to get out all of our permits to our prospective permit users, people who used our permits in the past, people who've been inquiring since this all started. But we are going to have a lot more process and procedures. So now that we have the guidelines, that was the beginning of our process. But now we will break down those guidelines. We will send them to our joint insurance fund and for our legal department for them to review as well. Then we're going to ask each user group, once we have our rules and regulations, we're going to email out to each user group and ask them what their plan is for their individual group. We have youth groups, we have baseball, we have softball, we have soccer. We want to know what their plans are for the complexes. And I'll just throw one example, social distancing in a dugout. You could reasonably fit 5 people in a 30-foot dugout. However, there's more people on each roster. One of the recommendations we got was people would just bring beach chairs and put them in outfield in the foul line. Obviously, that is not something we support whatsoever. So we've gone around and we've looked at certain things like that, what our ideas are going to be at fields. But obviously, it's going to be up to these groups that are renting our fields to police themselves and come up with guidelines. That's why we're asking them to come up with what their plan is based upon our guidelines. Once we receive that back, as well as all of their paperwork, their hold harmless, their new insurance certificates, then we will start to hand out permitted field use at that time. Myself, the entire department is excited to get people back out on the fields. We just want to make sure we're doing it in the right manner, that we're laying it out with all the right signage, cleanings that need to be done. So we've been telling everybody, please bear with us, please bear with us. We have the information we need now from the Department of Health. All we need to do is digest that, get all the clearance we need on that end. So sooner rather than later, organizations will be seeing emails from our department saying, hopefully play ball soon. Here are all the guidelines. Let's work together to get it all done and get everybody back in our beautiful parks.
Thanks, Matt. You got a tough job. There's a lot of information that needs to get a lot of I's that need to be dotted, a lot of T's need to be crossed before we let people back in our parks. The fourth issue I had, I think our cultural arts is working on a drive-in event. I think we're working in conjunction with the district to have it up at the high school. So we'll be getting some notice about that shortly. Drive-in. And I have all the department heads online. If anyone else wants to have any questions for the mayor or any department head, now would be a good time to ask if there's any information that we haven't answered yet tonight.
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
It's okay if I go ahead and ask now?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So in terms of the drive-through,
drive-in.
Drive-in. I think I've asked in the past, if I could just have a heads up, I think sometimes there's like no communication. I would say miscommunication, but I think it's generally like no communication. So that way, I'm not being redundant here, because I certainly understand that we can't tell the public things before we know fully. And, I would definitely keep it confidential if we're working on something, but then I'm not kind of double backing and saying things that we've already been working on. So I just would like more information ahead of time.
Yeah, once we get accurate information, we'll put it out there.
Have a question? No, I just want to mention also, I believe, Mayor, that they're working on a plan to reopen the library as well, correct?
Yes, unfortunately, I'm not prepared to answer any questions regarding the library. The governor has come up with a whole bunch of different rules for the library that I am not prepared to discuss intelligently at this time, but we can get something from the library if the council would, as soon as they publish all their guidelines. Again, it's almost like opening up the parks.
Right, they're working on a plan as well.
Yes. In fact, I believe they did have a teleconference one-on-one with the governor's office. All the libraries attended, and we had 2 representatives from our director and somebody from our library board, I believe Mr. Weber, and they have a whole litany. I mean, it was a number of pages and pages and pages of guidelines that they're going to have to meet before they can open the library.
That's what I mean.
Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, it's not a simple, thing to achieve as well. And people are, but again, like you say, we have to have patience. There is a plan being put in, but it will take some time to get
I
this.
believe currently, and again, I hope I'm not misspeaking, that they will be opening for drive-up library services. No one will be allowed in the building, but people will be able to return and maybe pick up books at the library. And I think that's coming sooner than later also.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Any
There,
questions?
Council President, on the library, there is a guideline came about to limit only the curbside services still. They have not permitted opening of the library in a phase 2. So they're waiting for it. There was some more information, and I have communicated with the library director, Mike Bobbis, about it. And we'll be bringing information as soon as they find board library finalize.
All right, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Shaw about his administrative report?
No. Madam President, just the one thing, I just wanted to thank Matt and Anna for the food drive and grabbing that truck and assisting us. I know there's a lot of jokes about me jumping on and off of it like a New York City sanitation worker, but I want to thank you guys again for coming out there and helping us pick up all that food for the food bank.
Yeah, I would too. Both of you, as well as your staff, the bus driver, the truck drivers, everyone was terrific. And not to forget Mayor Henry's grandson, Joseph.
Yes.
Thoroughly helped. He was.
He did more than I did. He carried me.
terrific, but I'll tell you what, that HOA connection that we developed.
Council President, I forgot one item. We had a very successful hazardous waste drop-off over the weekend. We had hundreds of people come here on Saturday, hundreds of people on Sunday, and a lot of bad material was collected and taken out of people's basements and out of our environment. And it's going to be disposed of properly. So I don't know if Kyle wants to say a few words about it. He has the numbers, but a lot of people, and I got nothing but great compliments from the people who used it and came here and got rid of a lot of hazardous material. Staying home, they had an opportunity to clean their basement and garages out, and we had paint that had to be 60 years old. So it was good, very good.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for a motion to accept the.
Move it.
Second.
The move by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. And thank you, Mayor, also as well.
Thank you, Council. Much appreciated.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes,
8 yes.
thank you. Next will be our consent agenda. We will start by taking a motion and a second, and then we'll ask for separations.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Pescetti. And now Stella will go for separations.
Okay. All right, I'll go from the bottom up, I guess. Mrs. Sohar, any separations?
Oh, I'm good.
Mrs. Walker,
No.
Mr. Rizzoli,
24.
24. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Pescetti,
No separation, Stella, thank you.
thanks. Mr. Murphy?
None.
No? Mr. Merwin?
None.
Dr. Greenberg?
None.
Mr. De Palma?
C6.
And Mrs. Brown? Any
None.
None?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so now. Okay. Okay, on the separations, we're gonna take a vote on everything except C6 and C24.
Move it.
Second.
Okay.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy, Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Sohar.
Yes.
8 yes on the balance. Now we'll go to C6.
Mr. De Palma?
Yeah, so just two quick things on that. One, thank you to Vina and everyone that was involved in kind of getting that pushed along as quick as possible. I know it was a little monumental task in 1 week, but thank you. And to Steve and Rosemary, again, thank you guys for going out and getting everything done and talking to them. Just for any business that is listening now, if you do wish to have it, please, go on the Old Bridge website, pull up that permit, get it out. A main priority is making sure that we get our businesses up and running, especially the outdoor dining, which is why we are suspending this for the time being. So please get that out. any issues or concerns, please reach out to the township. You can reach out to any of the council folks, especially anyone that's your council representative in your ward. But please, let's get out there. And again, just hoping that all our residents start to utilize all our businesses that are reopening.
Council President, if I may, on that particular items, I think that we forgot to thank our township attorney, because the way when this governor's guidance came out on a Friday 2 weeks back, Rena and Mark worked through weekend to get the application and all the rules and everything put together so that they can get out Monday morning. They put the application online. There was a lot of work that took place during that time. So I want to take a time to thank Mark for his efforts over the weekend, helping us to get that together.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Mary,
Yes, Mr. Merwin?
yes, we just did that by resolution, right, Mark? On the temporarily suspending that ordinance?
Correct.
All right, so if that drop dead date or we've only done it until the week after Labor Day. If we
Right,
decide-
if we need to extend it, we can extend it, right?
Okay, very good.
We're hopeful by then everybody's dining inside. There's no need for outside dining. I mean, that let's be positive that somebody in Trenton starts getting their head together and start realizing what needs to be done here.
There was 3 bars closed in Florida today, though, so I don't know how.
Wow.
So that's not helpful.
Okay. All right, Madam President, we need a motion on C6.
Move, second.
Moved by Mr. De Palma, second by Dr. Greenberg.
Mhm.
Okay, Mrs. Brown on C6,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
and Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Sohar.
Yes.
Nine yes on C6. Then we go to
C24,
C24,
Mr. Rizzoli.
and Mr. Rizzoli.
Thank you, Stella. I just want to thank Mr. Roselli on this. I won't forget him like Macho did. He, worked with me on this. I think calling for the governor to reinstate the homestead rebate is very important at a time like this when we have an economic crisis in the state. The last thing we need to do is be hurting our seniors, our disabled, those who are eligible for the homestead rebate. We're looking at a significant increase on our turnpike, 36%, our parkway tolls, 27%, and not to mention tax increases across the board. So I think, it's great the council is going to be calling on the governor to reinstate the homestead rebate. I think it's important. I think it's something that's definitely worth taking a stand for. And that's what it's all about, is fighting for members of our community. I just want to thank everybody.
Well said.
Anyone else? Okay.
I just want to add that the governor also is looking into taking away our senior tax freeze, which is going to affect, some of the most vulnerable in our town. And I think it's terrible.
Ms. Walker, the resolution includes the tax freeze as well.
Oh, it does. Okay, great.
Good. Okay. Anything else? Anyone?
I would just have to add, I just think it's unconscionable that the governor would do this. I mean, it's like kicking someone when they're down. I mean, it's just wrong on every level. So I hope he hears, our resolution read loud and clear, and I'm sure other towns will follow. You just can't even imagine. You're a governor, you're supposed to care about your residents and the citizens of your state, and then you go ahead and do this. It's just wrong.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing no hands, then we'll ask for a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Okay, Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. De Palma,
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Merwin, Mr. Merwin,
Disappeared.
Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty,
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
President Sohar.
Yes, I sincerely hope he listens to this because it's very important.
Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Merwin's not back yet. Okay, so that's 8 yes.
Includes the consent agenda. And next will be ordinances for first reading. This has ordinance number, it doesn't have a number on this sheet, Stella. What number is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I would have to be guessing and I don't want to do that, but we will give it a number tomorrow.
Okay, and it's amending section 108-4 entitled fees and section 235 entitled certificate of approval required prior to transfer fee of the code of the Township of Old Bridge. Mr. Rizzelli, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I think they were suggested by Mr. Reardon in the construction department. The fees were outdated basically for the amount of work that the permit requires. So he had recommended and suggested the increase.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Murphy.
Mrs. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Greenberg, I'm sorry, Dr.
That's
Greenberg?
okay. Yes, hopefully that with the increased fees that I hope that the workers there can get and be more responsive to the residents in a timely fashion. That's the main thing. Thank you.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes. Now to public comments, Madam Secretary.
Okay, next will be public comments on any subject matter.
Put the one through.
Okay. Okay, we're
Hello?
just taking a minute while we put up the phone numbers for everybody. Okay, giving them a chance to call in.
We have a one raised hand, Stella,
Okay,
3592.
okay. All right,
May I speak?
3592. Okay, just tell us who you are and the address again.
Hello, Nina Jochnowitz, and thank you again for letting me speak. I already told you where I live, 203 West Greystone Road. I'm a routine caller in, so you know my address. So there were a few things I wanted to cover, and I'm happy you guys gave us an opportunity. The first is I know that a lot of people in town were very excited by the student organized peace march in town. We were all there. A lot of us were there in town. There were at least 600 students from the 11th and 12th grade, along with my son, a lot of other people. We were also excited to be joined by the police, Councilwoman Brown, she spoke, Councilman David Merwin, and Mayor Owen Henry. We were excited to also see that everybody, including the local police, first aiders, the council members, and the mayor, took a knee in joining with the peace workers in honor and respect and showing both their support of our country, while also expressing the anger towards the injustices that still occur on the soil in America. That's the first thing. I'd really like to see everybody on council join in finding a way to make this country equal and respecting everybody. And I would also look to the senior leadership in this town to find a way to integrate our community. The second thing I wanted to speak to is, by the way, Stella, thank you very much for rounding up the whole voting election.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Nina.
I happen to be one of the poll workers, and we were told it was unsafe for us. And the fact is they created 3 separate places where people can, if they feel as though they have to vote in person, they can fill out what's called a provisional ballot. In the state of New Jersey, every ballot, whether it is a provisional, vote by mail, or in person in the old-fashioned method, is counted. There are other states where this is not the case, but in the state of New Jersey, every vote is counted. Now, I do know that I heard about the error in the ballot, but I know that they immediately sent out a second ballot. I'm sure that the county has worked out a system to confirm if somebody has voted on a Democratic line and it turns out that they're voting for Frank Lautenberg versus Bonnie Watson Coleman, that they're voting, if they're registered Democrat, they can only vote on the Democratic line. Now, every single ballot that was sent out, you had to identify whether you were a Democrat or Republican, and then on that ballot, everything, you had the Democratic column, you had the Republican column, and then you had alternative parties that were there that you could vote from if you were registered in one of the parties. And that said, it's very disappointing when I hear council people speak to that they're concerned about people's votes counting in this state. And I know in this county, because I've worked the polls for many years and I used to work them in New Brunswick, every vote is counted, not double, just once. That's first. The other thing is that it would be really nice to see an Old Bridge TV program set up, because there were a lot of students that were involved in the most recent Peace March. If the possibility was that the Old Bridge TV could be set up and a community-based show to help educate the remainder of the community who is not yet in touch with understanding what the minority community is facing. Maybe there can be an open forum created for these students or for the adult community involved. And then finally, I know everybody is concerned about COVID, and I'm really tired of hearing everybody screaming about the governor. I think the governor has taken a very metered approach to opening up the state. I want to remind you on the council.
Nina, I hate to interrupt you, but your time is up. Okay.
Can I just, almost done, Stella.
No. Sure, okay. Okay.
In the country, in the United States, we at this time have 114 vaccine trials ongoing. I happen to be working on 4 of them. We have 430 phase 2 trials for COVID-19, and we have 180 phase 3. It's going to be a long time before we actually get a drug that is going to work efficaciously for everybody. And it's going to be a long time before we get a vaccine. Please keep wearing your masks and respecting the people in the community who may not be as healthy as you are. And wear your mask and don't throw it out on the pavement. Respect the animals and the wildlife. Put it in a bin. Rubbish bins are good. Thank you very much.
Okay, Nina, thank you very much for your call. Okay, do we have anybody else? If anybody else wants to speak? Star 9, please. We'll give them a couple
We
of
have
seconds.
one more hand.
Yep, I have one more hand. Okay. All right, go
Hi
ahead.
there, can you hear me all right? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I can. Could we have your name, please, and an
Hi, Tyler
address?
Deneen from South Street. I know that this has been talked about over the years, but I was looking to find out what the status is on our town's police being equipped with body cameras. You know, I'm very concerned with the breakdown of civic functioning that's going on in different parts of our country right now. And I'd like to preface this by saying that I am particularly proud of the quality of our police force here in Old Bridge and the fact that we have fewer complaints against our department than comparable departments do. But I'm scared of this growing lack of trust in governmental institutions that form the backbone of the protection of our democracy. In terms of body cameras, there's statistics that show that communities that have a higher number of officers wearing body cameras, they also have a higher level of trust in those police departments, and higher levels of trust in police departments statistically result in lower crime rates overall. In fact, according to a recent YouGov poll, almost 90% of Americans are in favor of ensuring that officers are widely equipped with cameras. And in the state of New Jersey, through the Attorney General's office, there is state-based funding that is available for this. I know that now all state troopers are required to wear body cameras while on duty. And I think that something like this would not be reflective of the quality of our department, but would be reflective of the ability to ensure a greater trust in the populace, and as well as to protect police officers who may have false claims made against them while on the job. It protects everybody, right? It's something that protects everybody. And, you know, I think we want to talk about reaching equality, and we want to talk about having higher standards of good government. And I think that this is clearly something that needs to be looked at into further. I think it's something that really would benefit everyone, and there is funding available for it. So I wanted to know what the council's thoughts are on that.
Okay, did you have anything else, ma'am?
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Okay, anybody else? I don't see anybody. If you want to give them another second.
Sure.
Okay, we're sharing the numbers again, just so the council knows, just in case there's someone else out there. Okay, I don't see any more hands. Madam President, if you want to close the public portion, there's no more hands up there.
All right. It's been a fair amount of time, so we'll close the public portion and we'll move on to our discussion item, D1, Master Plan Reexamination Amendment pursuant to the recent bill amending Section 19 of PL 1975 291 C40:55D-28 of the Municipal Land Use Law and encouraging local units to plan for electric charging infrastructure. Good evening, Vina.
Good evening, Council. What you have in front of you tonight is the amendment to the Master Plan Reexamination Report related to electric vehicle charging stations. The Township Planning Board adopted an amendment to the Master Plan Reexamination Report at their June 9th Planning Board meeting. Tonight, the plan amendment is being referred to the Council by the Planning Board. A copy of the same was made available to the Council on Novus. The amendment is only to add a paragraph on page 19 of the report pertaining to electric vehicle charging stations. The amendment was actually a result of a recent bill. On November 6, 2019, the New Jersey Senate voted to approve Senate Bill 606 related to electric vehicle charging. The bill was passed to further the state's environmental goals of improving air quality and making the state more sustainable. The bill amends the municipal land use law and the local redevelopment and housing law to require all municipalities in the state of New Jersey to account for current and future electric vehicle charging stations. It encourages municipalities to identify existing locations and potential future locations for these charging stations as part of their master plan re-examination report. The law encourages development of charging infrastructure in commercial districts along mostly traversed highways, near public transportation facilities, and public rest stops. Additionally, it amends the redevelopment and housing law to account for proposed locations when the municipality creates a redevelopment plan. So there is a small paragraph on page 19 that was added, but that's pretty much it. This allows us to go and further investigate and come up with an ordinance related to electric charging. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll take any questions.
Yep, thank you very much. Anyone from the
Thank you.
council have a question?
Nope, just, for me, being, my stance on this, I fully support this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. DePalma. Mr. Pasquetti, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's somewhat related, but it doesn't have to do with the electric charging. Could you just update us, Vina, on the circulation plan for the town, transportation circulation, and the jobs to units ratio? Could we get an update like by the next meeting?
Sure.
Thank you. That was it. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question for her? No, seeing no hands, then thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
It's appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vina.
Thank you.
All right, next will be Councilmember Comments.
Are we going to go in order again?
Yeah, we're gonna go, all right, Madam President, I'm gonna go down the other way again, all right, to make it fair.
We're gonna
So
go.
Mrs. Brown,
It's fine.
you're gonna be first, is
Yeah, sure, no problem.
that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, it just, I have this microphone on here and it's so quiet that I can't tell that anyone can hear me. So,
oh no, we could hear you loud and clear,
okay, good. So,
you're good.
yeah, I wanted to say something. I know we've talked about this in the past regarding like replying to constituent comments. Is there any way we can do like a disclaimer before the comment section, just so people don't feel like they're being ignored? Because it is a little awkward when someone, for instance, someone just spoke, and I believe it was Kyler and Deneen, I believe that's what he said his name was. And so he spoke, but then, we're all quiet. So can we possibly do some type of disclaimer just to explain to people that when they speak, we, our stance is that we have to be quiet? Yeah, I think it might be a little polite. And then, so one more thing, I was happy to see that the suggestion, and perhaps it was in the works already, I'm not sure, but the suggestion I'd given via email about restarting the Human Relations Committee was heeded. If it was in the works before, I have no idea because I didn't get any notification about that. But, I didn't get a response back for a while. And, like I mentioned in my email, I really think that Considering, all things considered, I mean, it would really, I understand it's a mayoral appointment. I understand that we have to, obviously pick people from the community, but I would strongly recommend, being as though we don't really have anybody of color on our council, that we somehow work it out, whether we have a different committee or we do with the Human Relations Committee, where I can be a part of it. Because again, I think if we do efforts for inclusion or diversity in a way that's not genuine, in a way that's still not inclusive of an actual brown person here, then it really looks insincere and kind of falls flat a bit, I think. So, and not just for outward looks, but also because I think that's important, that, if we're going to have a committee that's dedicated to improving diversity and, community relations in that way, it's better if we kind of all work on it together. So,
All right, Madam President, may I chime in on that? Yeah, this committee, Adina, used to be in many years ago.
Yes.
It was intact, okay? And then it went out because nobody had any interest. So they're bringing it back now. It's not basically like a political, committee. It's basically just for residents. The mayor gets to choose 9 people out of the resumes that come in. The council, though, however, gets to choose 3 people out of the resumes that come in. And of course, I heard what you said, different diversities and whatever. I have no way of knowing, who these people are when I give over the resumes to the mayor and to the council. All right.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's why I'm just mentioning that. I accidentally didn't include you on the first email, but about maybe 2 weeks ago now, I sent out an email saying, can we restart this committee? Because some people that I was speaking to that have been on the committee many years ago told me that it basically just disbanded for whatever reason. Yeah, so I'm aware of that. I know that I wasn't here when it was first installed, but I think, once again, I understand that we have certain rules and procedures, and when we have a committee, if it's a mayoral appointment, he gets to choose, but I really do want us to be mindful because I think, again, we don't want to just look like we're performing or posturing to be inclusive and not really actually doing that. I'd hate for the committee to have like a homogenous group in the committee, or only people that are friends. I want to make sure that we're really including people whose voices need to be heard. So, if it works out that I can't be a part of it, I looked at the standards that were sent to me, fine. But I think then we should still have some other effort because, like I said, I've been talking to people in our community who are really concerned and they don't want things to be just for show. They want things to be truthful and done in a way that really is meaningful for them. So just my thoughts on that. Thank you, Stella.
Oh, okay, Adina.
Yes.
Okay, I guess that's it. Oh no, we have to go down. Sorry. Mr. De Palma, your turn now. Sorry.
Yeah, so 2 quick things. So just to echo what other folks have already said, congratulations to the 2020 graduates. I know a lot of you are under the impression you might have been robbed out of your graduation, which you have. But just think about it, in 20, 30 years, I talk about my graduation from high school. Your graduation, you will have one of the most memorable and unforgotten graduation ceremonies and senior years of any generation. So congratulations to all of you. Good luck in going, who's going into 1st grade, 8th grade, whatever grade you're going into, college. Good luck. Keep up the good work and make Old Bridge proud. And finally, I just wanted to thank the Old Bridge Police Department as well as all of the fire companies for your assistance in making all of those drive-by birthday celebrations and other celebrations successful. I know a lot of those residents are extremely grateful. And a special thank you to the Old Bridge PD as well as the Cheesequake Fire Company for your assistance in making a young man in my neighborhood, his coming home from the hospital, a very memorable event. The look on his face, and especially his father's face and his mother's face and the entire family, they were shocked and Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart as well. Thank you for sending the trucks. Thank you for sending the cars. I know they do appreciate it, and especially I do. So thank you.
Okay. Dr. Greenberg.
First of all, I just want to say John Murphy had to leave, Councilman Murphy had to leave the meeting because of his blood sugar. So it was really just for a medical reason, but hopefully he's doing better right now. So I just wanted to clear that up. Then in town, I just want to echo the sentiment that there are difficult times that we've all been living through. And I just want to say that living in this community, it is nice to see the positive things that are done all the time, no matter how small it is, in what way it is. And sometimes they go by silently. People don't say the things that they're doing. But I would say this is a wonderful committee, wonderful community, and truly everyone, if you put your best foot forward, stay calm, be kind to each other, look at people's heart. That's the only thing that should be focused on, is what is in someone's heart. And you know what? We never know what people are going through, how difficult times that, that they face, but just a kind gesture, a kind word really goes a long way. So I want to thank everyone, who really makes an effort to make this community a wonderful place to live, where people do want to come here. And it's all about being in a safe community, a good school system, and all the positive things that are around us. So I look forward to seeing everyone this summer. I hope we can all get out more. And I know, there's been very difficult times behind us, and I just want to look forward to more positive things. Thank you.
Mr. Merwin. Dave. Okay. Mr. Pescetti. No.
Did you, Tony, you have to unmute.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Rizzoli?
Thank you, Stella. I want to congratulate the class of 2020. My daughter's in the class. I'm very proud of her and all her classmates and their achievements. And I also want to touch on the township. For those who don't know, we are the 15th safest town for our size in the nation. And that's not accomplished without the police working hand in hand with the community. Okay, they work very hard. You heard Councilman DePalma. They go around, they do the birthday drive-bys, they do a lot of other events throughout the community, raising money, scholarship fund, all kinds of donations. It's unfortunate that we have a few bad apples within the profession who taint it for everyone else. I think when people talk about reform, they need to start looking at the young generation that's getting hired. I think they lack communication skills. It's a generation of video games, emailing, and texting. I think more getting to the academy, the old verbal judo classes where you learn to use your voice needs to be more taught more than probably what it's currently being done. I think there's great people in the profession. No one goes out to do anyone any harm. It's unfortunate when you get an individual who taints the shield, and also not only they taint the shield, they taint those who gave their lives protecting their communities. So, every now and then someone's going to get angry and they get pulled over, get a ticket and whatnot. But I think the Old Bridge Police Department is, one of the best in the county, in the state. The law enforcement community in New Jersey are highly trained, just like New York. I mean, we are the #1, epicenter in the world for terrorism. So I think our training is second to none. And I will continue to support and work in any way possible to continue to show how great our law enforcement members are, because they care about everyone. So any false narrative out there needs to stop. And like I said, our cops, they work very hard to public relations with our community. And I think if you go around this community and ask anyone, they'll tell you that. And one thing I will tell you, that I kneel in church. I proudly stand for the national anthem. And God bless America. This is a great country, and everybody controls their own destiny. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Walker.
Yes, I just want to say, Councilwoman Sower and myself, we had tried a few years ago to get the Human Relations Committee off the ground. We had met with former Mayor Barbara Cannon, I believe 2 times, with members that were on the committee, but it never seemed to take off the ground. We had given them suggestions about possibly having something at the Bush Center and things, but it never seemed to take off at the time because we didn't have anybody that was interested in joining. And I just want to say that I can't wait to get out and about and try one of these outdoor restaurants and get to see people again.
And Mrs. Soha.
Yes, I just want to wish every dad and granddad a happy Father's Day. It's a wonderful day. They're so appreciated. I miss my dad every day, and I know my children miss their father every day. So enjoy them while you have, while you can be together, and hopefully you can gather somewhat together this year. I don't know how many, but at least you can maybe get together. And please, all of you gentlemen that are sitting here this evening, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Okay.
Happy Father's Day, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, is someone else going to speak? Sorry.
No,
You all spoke.
Yeah, I just wanted to say happy Father's Day as well. I also want to just put this out there again real quick. When we believe that only everyone has the same experience and we say things like, oh, everyone knows this and everyone knows that, we're still discounting groups of people that don't have that same experience. So like I said, I've actually been talking to people of color in our community over the past few weeks, and they've had some experiences that they've shared with me. And so I really caution everyone here to be very careful how we say things and just make assumptions. No one is at all attacking the police department here. Certainly I wouldn't. There's a lot of police officers here that I've grown to really appreciate more personal that I've gotten to know. And like I said, I have close family members who are state troopers and state police, and like some of my best friends actually are state police officers. So, I'm certainly not saying anything negative about the police force, but yes, I think we just need to be mindful when we make statements about how everyone feels welcome, because I know for a fact that we have a lot of students right now that are hurting and have called me crying and upset about how they've been treated and people in their family have been treated. So I think we still have to be really mindful that, your experience or one person's experience or even a certain community's experience is not the same all across the board. So that's a part of healing a community and bringing a community together, is also being very transparent and aware that everyone's experience is different. And I think that's a positive thing too. When we just say, oh, let's move forward and forget, that's very dismissive for people who are still going through problems. So I just think we should be mindful of that and be compassionate toward everybody. So again, happy Father's Day to everybody. My husband's birthday is on Father's Day. So happy birthday to my husband, Ben, and happy Father's Day all on the same day. I have to get a lot of presents. Have a good night.
That means 2 gifts, Adina. Actually multiple gifts. You need
Right.
2 gifts from you and 2 gifts from each of your children. So
There's
I'm
no
just throwing that out
stores
there.
open. There's no stores open, Eric. Where am I gonna go?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Or any place that delivers.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. So seeing council comments are done. Anyone else? Mayor, did you have anything to add? Okay.
He's muted.
Okay.
He's happy.
Okay. So I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Mr. Pescetti made the motion. Mr. Rizzoli made the second. Everyone have a really, really good Father's Day, gentlemen.
Happy Father's Day.
All right, I have to take a vote, Mary. Mrs. Brown?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
6 yes to adjourn.